All right. So you've upgraded your 12 or maybe 20 amp hour LifePo 4 battery to one of the new high capacity batteries. Congratulations. Now, how are you going to charge it? Well, I've got a solution for you, so let's check it out. So you went out and you picked up one of these 100 amp hour, maybe even a 200 amp hour battery, or maybe you're considering picking one up soon. The question now becomes, how are you going to charge it? If you're like me and you've got several Bioenno 2 amp hour, maybe you've got the hefty 6 amp hour battery charger lying around, do you really want to try to use this to charge a 100 amp hour battery? I mean, do you really want to spend 30, 50 hours charging your battery? I don't think so. So this is where the Victron Energy Blue Smart IP22 charger comes in. This is a 30 amp charger. I mean, how does less than 3.5 hours sound to charge a 100 amp hour battery? Yeah, that sounds a lot better. This charger is capable of handling all of your 12-volt battery chemistries, and you can monitor that charging cycle through their smartphone app. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is much more expensive than the 30 amp Amazon no-name chargers out there. But Victron is a well-established, trusted brand with an entire ecosystem of power-related devices. These devices are used in marine, overlanding, higher-end campers, any kind of portable pursuit. These things are quality devices, and I want a quality device if I'm going to be pushing 30 amps through an unattended charge process that's in my shack, in my garage, or in my barn. As the name suggests, this is an IP22 rated device, so it's not intended to be used in a wet environment. Victron does have an IP65 or an IP67 rated charger if you need that for your application. For me, I'll be using this in a dry environment, so an IP22 rating is just fine. The case is an aluminum heatsink. It is intended to get warm during use. The power cord is 6 feet long, but this device does not come with battery charging cables. You are expected to provide your own based on your needs and application. I happen to have a Samlex power supply modular connector. Now, what is that? So this is, I think it's a 10 gauge wire. It's a cable that's sold by Samlex that's intended to be used with their power supplies. Most, if not all of their power supplies have screw terminals on the back. And so this is a short cable with ferrules on one side and Anderson power pole connector on the other. All right, here's a quick look at the unit. It is an aluminum case, as I mentioned. You can tell I've already marked it up just a tad. I think I scraped it on something, obviously dropped it somewhere. I'm not quite sure. But you can see the aluminum beneath the blue powder coat. This is a nice finish. I mean, I ding that pretty good. You can tell let me see if, there we go. You can tell I took a little chunk of the aluminum off when I hit that, so it's not going to scratch easily. You do connect to your phone via Bluetooth. This is the single output version. They do have other versions to allow you to charge 2 or 3 devices at once. It does have some LEDs that allow you to see where you are in the charge cycle. And you do have a mode button here that gives you some basic capabilities in changing some of the functionality. In most cases, you're going to want to use the app. Here you can see this is a heavy duty 6-foot cable. Nice and heavy. Let's see, let's pop open this cover. And you can see the screw terminals here. So you get a good look at those. They are clearly marked positive and negative. These will accept a 6 gauge wire. There's also a 40 amp fuse in case things go sideways. This is that Samlex power supply modular connector. There's nothing special here. It's a 10 gauge wire. It's got ferrules on one end. There's no chance that you're going to have any issues with stray copper going across to the other terminal. It's well done, professionally done. It's got some heat shrink on those ferrules. And here you see there's a nice cover on the power poles as well. All right, so here's a look at how I run my battery in my shack. I use my 100 amp hour as a battery backup. I'm connected with screw terminals, and on the other end, I've got a power pole. Now I'm running a West Mountain Radio Epic H Power Gate. This is a transfer switch so that if it senses my power supply is no longer providing power, it will switch over to the radio and keep things running. And that plugs right into that device with this power pole. So if I do need to charge this, all I have to do is disconnect this from the West Mountain Power Gate and connect it right up to my Victron charger. Victron Connect is the app that you use to control the charger. The app is available on Android, iOS, Mac, and Windows. Now, you can't do much here until you actually connect to a device. This app does control many of the devices in the Victron ecosystem, so the options that you're presented will depend on the device that you connect to. On the status page of the charger, you can see that I'm currently in the absorption charge phase of the charging cycle. This is really the phase where you're topping the battery off. You can see the various stages of the charge cycle under the graph option. The bulk phase is the primary charging phase. This is when you're dumping maximum amperage into the battery to charge it as quickly as possible. The absorption charge phase is when you're applying decreasing amperage to the battery to really top it off. You've got a reconditioned stage that's for non-lithium ion batteries, and you have a float and storage cycle for near-term and long-term maintenance. Under the History tab, you can see prior charge cycles, and under the Gear menu in the top corner, you can enter settings. Now, let me point out first of all, the function here is set to charge. This does have an option to use the charger as a power supply. You simply change that function to power supply and it disables all of the charging algorithms and allows you to set the output voltage. The charge presets here are the same that are available on the case of the charger. Again, leave it on lithium ion for your LiFePO4 batteries, and your other modes are for your other chemistries. You also have an opportunity to change the charge current. I have mine set to 30 amps, but let's say I only had a 12 gauge battery cable. I might not feel comfortable pushing 30 amps through that, so I could drop the maximum amperage down to more safely work within the limits of my charging cable. Night mode will disable the fan during the charge cycle. Now, that fan typically will come on during the bulk cycle. So if you're in night mode, it's also going to reduce the current so that it doesn't require a fan to be on to keep the unit cool. So keep that in mind. If you turn on night mode, it will be more quiet. It will also use less power potentially. Advanced mode allows you to customize the built-in charging algorithms. As you can see here, it's not recommended, and you should only use this if you know your battery requires specific settings to charge. Finally, we have the VE Smart Networking option, which allows you to connect the various devices in the Victron Energy ecosystem where they can share information and work together in a smart system. All right, folks, if you need a high capacity battery charger, take a look at the Victron energy options. These are a little bit more expensive, but they are definitely a high quality device. They could fit into a larger charging or power delivery ecosystem, and it may be just what you need in your situation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.